Hey, Quilters. If you've ever felt personally attacked by a Pinterest perfect sewing room, this episode is for you. Welcome back to Loose Threads and Stitches, the podcast where we keep things honest, cozy, and creative. I'm Kristen from icstarsquilting.com, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to throw open the doors to real life. Thread covered, project stuffed, slightly chaotic, heart of it all, the sewing room. Yeah. I want to pull back the curtain and show you the honest truth about what my creative space actually looks like because, spoiler alert, it's not Pinterest worthy. It's not color coded. There is definitely a pile of fabric that has been sitting on the same chair for longer than I care to admit. And here's the thing. I know I'm not the only one out there. I have talked to so many quilters, even the YouTube quilters and the Instagram quilters, who feel like their space isn't good enough to share. They crop their photos, they apologize for the mess, they hesitate to show their setups, and today I'm going to break it down with you. Yeah, you and me together. Let's talk about the mess, the magic, and why creativity sometimes needs a little chaos. So, yeah. One, this is really like vulnerable for me, okay? This feels very vulnerable because there is this idea that things should look like polished and nice. And yes, I'm fully aware of how blessed I am to be in a space that I can call my quilting studio. And I'm very blessed to have like the cute little knickknacks and the things all over the place that make me happy. But if you go by what you see on Instagram or in magazines, you might believe that every quilter studio is a glorious haven of natural light, pristine white shelves, and color-coordinated rainbow stacks of perfectly folded fat quarters. The fabric might look untouched. The thread spools are arranged like artwork, and there might even be a vase of fresh-cut flowers on the table. Listen, if that's your vibe and you are great at it, that's amazing. I'm not shaming at all. I love a good organizing binge as much as the next person. And because I do it a lot, okay? I love to organize. But for a lot of quilters, we can be lucky to have like one clear corner on the dining room table to cut fabric on, okay? I'm talking like rotary cutters buried under yesterday's fabric pull, the rogue pin that shows up barefoot at 2 a.m. Yeah, had those. And let's not even discuss like the scrap bin situation, okay? My scrap bin situation, it's not pretty. It's a jungle in there. There are storage totes that haven't been opened since last spring, a pile of half-finished binding strips tangled in the corner, and at least 3 thread colors mysteriously stuck to my shirt at all times. Yeah. It's my crafting glitter, okay? Threads are my crafting glitter. So today I want to normalize the creative mess because let's be honest, that picture perfect workspace is not the reality for most of us, and that's okay. You can be wildly creative and not so wildly organized in your space at the same time. So it's not a secret. I film in my sewing room. So yeah, I do try to make it look a little cleaner than it is, but here's here's a little bit of extra knowledge, okay? There is totally a basket of unfolded fabric just off camera. I have a drawer full of random zippers that I swear one day that I will organize. And I once lost my seam ripper for 2 weeks. My favorite seam ripper. Let's be honest. I totally have backup seam rippers, but I once lost my main seam ripper for 2 whole weeks. When I found it, it had somehow ended up upside down in my pencil cup. I don't know why. It was over there on my desk where my computer is. How it got over there, I have no idea. But you know what? I'm not ashamed of this space. It used to really bother me because I used to come in here and I really do like a clean space to create, okay? I do try. But when I would compare my space to other quilters online, or I would watch the YouTube videos of tour my sewing room, and I would think, oh man, why doesn't my sewing room look like that all the time? I need to like deep clean before I can even begin to sew, right? But I've realized that the mess doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong. It means that I'm actually actively working in it. Do you know why a model home stays so clean? Because nobody actually lives there. Uh-huh. So if your sewing room stays so clean, it might mean that there's not a lot of work happening in there. And our projects happen in stages. So yeah, I will leave things completely a mess because I know that that project is going to take a couple weeks to work on. It means that I'm actually working, I'm making progress, and I'm being creative. In my room right now, there are projects that are layered on top of each other, scraps on top of each other, scraps of batting in a corner because I can't seem to let go of scraps of batting. You know, I want to like franken bat them together and like make this even bigger piece of batting with them. And a fabric pile that might double as a pillow if I ever need a nap, right? Yeah. Some of you have seen like some stuff from behind the scenes on Instagram. And let me tell you, the moments where I show you the real deal, those are always those moments that are most relatable. They're also the moments that are the most vulnerable for me personally, because the reality is most of us don't have a whole room just for sewing. Maybe it's like a corner of the dining room. Maybe it's a kitchen table after the kids go to bed. Maybe it's a rolling cart next to your desk that you wheel back into the closet when you're not sewing. And however you do it, it totally counts. There's this weird thing that happens when we consume content online and we start comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. We see a tidy pegboard and think, oh no, like I just crammed all of mine in a bucket. Like not even like an actual bucket, but like a shoebox. And I don't know that like mine is good enough anymore. But you know, your sewing room doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to work for you. And some people do their best creativity in a very minimal space. Other people feel most inspired surrounded by scraps and thread tails. And yesterday's coffee mug might be in there too. Yeah, there's one over there. Yeah. There's no right way to be a quilter. We all work differently. We all have different routines. Some of us like to clean up after every single block. Some of us just push things to like a trash pile on the side. And we keep going until the quilt top is completely done. Neither one is more valid. And you know what? Let's take it one step further. You are allowed to be proud of your space, mess and all. It's where your creativity lives. It's where your stories get stitched into fabric. And it's beautiful. No matter what the lighting or the shelving situation looks like, it's beautiful. Also, tidbit on my own personal videos, what you are seeing right now in the camera angle is about maybe 7% of my sewing room. What you can't see is down below me here on this side. There is my travel bag down here in this corner that I take when I go places. It is stuffed with things. These shelves right here have different projects in every single one, as well as like my ironing supplies and stuff. My desk over here, total mess because I have a project that I'm working on. You can't see the piles of fabric over there or the desk with my desktop computer on it that is full of notebooks because I apparently collect notebooks and I'm not ashamed of it. So I just have them everywhere. And that's why I never can find my to-do list because it's in a different notebook every day. But I want you to remember that, like, yes, I did clean off this part of the counter so that this video would be nice and clean and not distracting in the background. But what you're seeing is about 7%. So when you see those posts on Instagram and you see those like beautiful shots on Pinterest, again, you are seeing like 5 to 7% of what somebody's life looks like in that tiny moment. Okay? That tiny moment is all that you're seeing. You didn't see the chaos before or the shoving of things just off camera screen, right? Or the chaos that happened after that, okay? What you're seeing is that one tiny moment. Today's episode was inspired by a message that I received from Jackie who asked, how do you stay motivated when your sewing room is a mess? And I love this question, Jackie. So thank you very much for sending it in. My honest answer for you is that sometimes I don't. Sometimes I walk in and I then remember, oh man, I left this place a mess. Okay. And I turn around and I pull the door closed and we go in the other room. Or I will take my hand sewing work and then go in the other room and we'll leave that mess for later. Right. Sometimes I clean a corner just big enough to work in and I call it good. And sometimes I turn my back to the mess and I keep sewing on the other side of it.
Yep.
That's real life right there. But I found that if I can make the smallest bit of space, just enough for my machine and a rotary mat and a little bit of breathing room, it helps. I like to try and do some extra things too to make it feel a little bit more special. I might light a candle or open a window, as long as it's not the spring season like it is right now because of all the pollen outside. But it just kind of resets the energy of the room for me. It's not perfect. It's just being present. And my tip to you would be to make peace with whatever your version of clean is. Find that sweet spot between comfort and chaos that works enough for you. And above all, do not wait for perfection to get started. Quilts don't care if your thread drawer is alphabetized. Okay? They don't care. So do what you can with what you have and make the most of it, because you're going to feel better once you start creating. Okay? Do not spend your life in an eternal waiting for things to be perfect before you get started. So I'm going to give you a permission slip today. Your sewing room is allowed to be messy. You are still a quilter. You are still creative, and you're doing amazing work, my friend. You really are. Give yourself some grace. Lean into the joy that you have and let the mess be a sign that you are making something absolutely magical. If you enjoyed this very real talk today, I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast or follow the podcast so that you never miss an episode. I post every single week, just real quilter conversations. And hey, come share your messy sewing space with me on Instagram. You can tag me on Instagram with this link right here. I will also put a link to my Instagram down in the description box below this so that you can go and check out my Instagram feed. Most of it is long arm quilting projects that I do. I do have a beautiful long arm, which means my sewing room is not just in this part of my house. It extends that way too into my dining room. And I try to keep a handle on the mess. Okay. But share your worst pet peeve about your sewing room and what always seems to never stay clean down in the comments down below. I would love to hear about it so that we can all have a good laugh and feel better together, because I know we're not alone in this. Until next time, keep stitching, keep laughing, and do not worry about your mess. It means that you are making something absolutely beautiful. Thank you for watching today's episode of Loose Threads and Stitches. I am so grateful for you. I'm Kristen with ICStarsQuilting.com, and I will see you next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye, friends.